Hello friends, I am Avdhendra Jadhav, speaking from India. Let I may discuss today about the India-Sri Lanka relationship, and very recently today in the morning, early in the morning, I got the news that the Sri Lankans uh, want and going through the economic distress and wants to restructure the debt that they are bound to pay. After defaulting on its $50 billion external debt in April 2022, the $3 billion extended fund facility IMF program that this country has subscribed intermittently, they are getting sort of relief as well from the IMF. For negotiation, a committee has been formed, is called the Debtor Committee, that is 17-member committee to negotiate with the structure Sri Lankan authority. The Official Creditor Committee, a 17-member committee, have been formed to discuss the and restructure and the terms and conditions of the repayment and negotiations on the debt would be discussed with Sri Lankan authority, particularly the team of the Sri Lanka. This is the ongoing negotiations. The Paris Club as well, India and many other countries, Japan, and but most interestingly, this term, Official Creditors Committee, was coined to the G20 presidency of India. India took forward the debt problems of the middle income or lower middle income countries, just like India and many other uh, same level of economic development countries, Sri Lanka and many other African nations as well. So India conducted a Voice of Global South Summit in 2022 when he assumed the presidency for G20. So the G20 is actually, have weightage for the global economic governance. So this is the right platform for to raise the voice of the concerning countries of the global South. India does it, and that is very nice things. India should must have to be praised for this. I am a independent observer. Uh, I don't follow the. Sometimes I do criticize my country, but sometimes I do appreciate because if they have done anything, good for the nations who is suffering, because I know the problems. So India must have to be praised for this. And an interesting fact is I got while reading the newspaper today that China is not the member of this 17 member countries committee. He is an observer status. You know, he is not bound by the decision taken by this committee. So it is observing the development, then terms and conditions that would follow in while discussing with China and Sri Lanka. That would be the a datum level for this benchmark for the negotiation between Sri Lanka and China. So India, as a neighbor and friendly nation of Sri Lanka, extended some kind of help, some sort of help. Definitely, the help have helped Sri Lanka greatly. Definitely, there is no doubt about this. And some sort of the political narratives are also being built in Sri Lanka for anti-India propaganda. I am worried about that, you know, because if I am not doing anything wrong, but I am still being criticized, that hurts. If the political development in Sri Lanka, uh, many parties in Sri Lanka. I was reading the newspaper in 1 month, ago. I got the news that some political parties there in Sri Lanka is accusing India for meddling uh, their political, internal affairs. But India denies it. India don't do it because if I do it, I only can say that how you have to develop the peace, because if you are suffering, the immediate impact comes out to me. uh, if the economic meltdown happened there in Sri Lanka, many people started coming to India, as a refugee, as a many. So direct or indirect impacts comes to us. If any development happens in Bangladesh, the people flee and comes to us. That becomes the liability towards to us, to India. So that's the problem. Uh, this must have to be understood by many nations, because India doesn't meddle in between the country's internal affairs. They don't mm, interfere into the affairs. It is your affairs. You have to manage it well. If the problems comes out, then we do assistance. What kind of, if some sort of assistance offering to the one ruling party, the opposition already raises the question that uh, you know automatically it happens in a political structure, and that too in Sri Lanka too. So it hurts sometime, but yes, uh, Sri Lanka has to have managed their own relationship, internal or external. They are independent nation, and they are bound to protect their interests too. So that's a very nice thing. Um, but what India can do, India is doing everything possible. We have same thing we have done for Maldives and uh, every nations in the Indian Ocean. So, but China is, I see the disturbing element. What China is doing, just see you see that China is just like observer, as an observer state, and they will negotiate in different terms with Sri Lanka, because Sri Lanka is in their debt trap. Uh, Most of the debt owned by the Sri Lanka goes to the China. So China is a major creditor to Sri Lanka, and they are using their they are using their economic problem as a political tool to get their political, advantage. So China is, using their money as a political tool. So all the neighbors of India must have to, look the things correctly. And very recently, I saw the news in 2 and 3 days just past that China has given the uh, arms and ammunitions, some sort of, to Sri Lanka for the news was mm, to detect the explosive substances, some modern tools and different kind of assistance as well. So that was anything. If any country uh, does or assist, they want some political advantage over that. So China is doing the very same thing. We have to be look the things uh, properly and handle it. But definitely, China's actions into the Indian Ocean is worrisome for India and its neighbor because they are catching them in an economic trap, and they are, uh, you know, uh, questioning the sovereignty of the states by that. So, economic trap is actually curtailing the independence of the nations. To take the independence means the decision-taking process. Look at this negotiation. Negotiation if China does with Sri Lanka, they will do them with their own terms and conditions, and Sri Lanka must have to obey that. You know, so they will get the political advantage over that. They will negotiate with political advantage plus the economy, the debt, the funds must have to be returned. 99-year lease Hambantota port is a political advantage over the economic trap. Must have to understand it. So, even my western border uh, with Pakistan as well. If you look at the Pakistan and its economic structure, you will see that they have not earned a single dollar with the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, CPAC. So if they don't have any earning by that, but they are paying the debt over the loan taken, uh, have so you must have to understand these projects is not viable actually. Uh, it has definitely some sort of help the infrastructure development in Pakistan, but the economic advantage that they should have to get, they are not getting that. So they are in the trap. Economic, suffering. The people is suffering a lot. The misunderstanding that their government or government machinery, the bureaucracy has done. The policy making decision makers have done the mistakes is actually bearing on the people. So the people is paying the debt and in the form of taxes, exorbitant taxes, and many other phenomenon, the price rise, etc., etc. So they are also in the uh, problem, economic suffering, and their economic suffering, will help the China to get some political, advantage over that. I do understand that this is the debt trap. You know, if your nations are in high debt, they are not able to pay in a difficult time. So they are curtailing some sort of their independence, sovereignty. So that's the trap. Uh, there is no actual uh, territorial colonization kind of something gain done by the China, but they are uh, getting the benefit of political benefit through their checkbooks. So that's the problem, I think. And these nations and their peoples must have to understand how the China is helping, the way they are adopting. Is these projects is viable? Viable, I meant they get the make they should have to make the money by that project that is being funded by the external funders. So these nations must have to understand they need. I know that modern infrastructure and their economic size is, not up to that level. We understand it. They need money, but that projects where the money is being pumped by the externally borrowed money. These projects should be viable. That's why the return is possible. Otherwise, that debt will come to the shoulders of the people of the country, and then people and entire nation will suffer after that. But second point I want to also make that if the nations who are in debt selling the asset of the nation, assets of the nation, what will happen when all the assets, companies, national companies, uh, every national asset is, sold. Then after that, what asset company will sold, countries will sold to uh, cope up their economic meltdown after 50, 60, you know, years from now. How they will handle their problem? That's the very question I want to ask. All the nations who are in the high debt, they are selling their national asset, just like Pakistan and many other nations. Sri Lanka too is going the very same way. But what will happen after next uh, financial crisis? In the next financial crisis, what these nations will do? They are today is opting to shell the following companies and getting the money by that. But what will they do into the next 50 to 60 years if any next crisis comes to the country? Then what nation will take action? So that's my question I'm leaving to you. You must have to understand, in principle, what will happen if such next crisis meltdown comes to the country? Then how will country handle that? So that is very worrisome news. That is a very worrisome question, and nations must have to address it. And so, thank you very much, my friends. I am not bound to answer every question. I know the answers, but you have to understand it. you know. So thank you very much.